The next step would be to consider learning objectives. So you want to start backwards. Think about at the end of an onboarding program, what do you want to make sure that your employees walk away with? Think about that also from a success measures standpoint. We often wait until the end of doing something or putting a new process in place and then think about, what data should we be capturing or what does success look like? And we encourage you to start with data first. Always lead with data. So think about those success measures. Make sure you're thinking about, is it really just that this is for employee retention and employee satisfaction? You're going to lean in there and just do NPS scores after your onboarding? Or is this going to be something that you really have things that you need the employee to know in order to be successful, and you want to measure how well they've retained that through benchmarking surveys or quizzes? Or is this something that you want to just see how they operate in a role, and you're going to be setting up success measures per role to measure effectiveness? So start thinking about those from the back and then work your way forward from there. Consider the medium. We have a huge recommendation to vary the medium you use. So don't only do training videos, don't only have self-paced courses, but try to have a different assortment of ways information can be relayed to employees so that they feel like they're up to speed, and they also have that flexibility for accommodation on learning style or accessibility needs. Also consider the timeline. 90-day timeline or training plan is often something folks put into place, and that helps you with those metrics of what do you want somebody to be able to do, know, say at day 90, at day 60, at day 30, and work your way backwards from there. Establish expectations for ramp is also really important. If you have a role that has quota, or you have success measures tied to a role, which we should for every role, you want to make sure you know and you establish that transparent dialogue with new incoming folks that, hey, by day 30, we're only expecting you to be here. By day 60, we're expecting you to be here. Or we have ramp expectations for 6 months. Whatever that may be, make sure it's communicated to the employee. You'll also want to consider what moments are teachable versus coachable. So when you consider something's teaching, it is more so when you have those best practices or an established process in place, and you really want to make sure somebody gets it right. So a teachable moment might be that you have a way to file expense reports, and it's a specific way that needs to be consistent across the board. You don't want to leave too much up for chance there and too much ambiguity. You want to give documentation. You want to be clear about expectations and allow time for them to ask questions to make sure everyone knows how to do what you're teaching them. For coaching, on the other hand, this is a little bit more fluid, and it's when you have maybe a rough best practice or a general idea of what you look for an outcome, but there's more flexibility in how to get there. So an example would be for a sales training or a sales expectation setting with clients, that building rapport with those clients on initial conversations, you might have some best practices on the cadence you want them to reach out to a client or information that they need to send to a client. But the way that when they're on a phone call with a client, that they're chatting, getting to know one another, building rapport, generally is way more successful when you add a layer of allowing the sales rep to be themselves and add their own style to it, rather than having it be a script that they're reading. And that would be a coachable moment that you're able to ask them those open-ended questions and give them the space to be able to sort of come to a decision and come to a best practice on their own. And these can be fluid. There might be some things that have training and coaching elements as part of them. And we would just encourage you at that point to just start thinking in advance about where is there wiggle room versus what are the things that you just need to make sure that somebody has complete understanding of the process and the way to go about it.